Kaboom!
I think it's known that Street Fighter V's release day was a hot dumpster fire. Me and my friend were waiting 2 hours while Capcom tried to douse the burning servers until we finally just gave up and went to bed. However, even after that whole mess, which continues to the time of this recording a half a year after release by the way, I still think the game has potential. Now that's partially because I want it to be successful, perhaps to justify my purchase, but also because I really got into playing it. Now you could say I want it to be the very best, like
no one ever was.
Except for Daigo. But, believe it or not, the game is actually fun. Well, sort of. Well, let's just start with the pros here. The kinesthetics, that is, how the game looks and feels, or feels while it looks, basically how fun it is to play the game itself, they're amazing. I've been told many times that when Nintendo was making Super Mario 64, they wanted Mario to be as fun to control as possible, even when the player was doing basically nothing. The same applies to Street Fighter V. All the hits feel great, they have that perfect amount of hit stun. It's flashy as hell, even doing a bread and butter combo on a dummy in training mode is fun. And don't even get me started on landing a super. Oh man, get fucked. Not to mention the character designs are also fantastic. No, not like that. Or that. God damn it, Capcom. See, each character has a distinct personality conveyed through their design alone. And this is something I hadn't realized until I heard it mentioned on a podcast called The Contender, which I highly recommend, especially to people who are beginners to Street Fighter. It's really good. Look at F.A.N.G, a grappler who relies on being near his opponent to scoop him up and deal tons of damage. The man is a living wall, he turns red sometimes, he sucks you in, and he's staring you down like a plate of sausages he's about to eat for breakfast. You don't want to get close to this guy. Or look at Ken and Rashid. They're both rushdown, so they're all cocky and they hop around a lot. Ken likes his family, pasta, and bananas apparently. He also says, maybe that means his pasta is ready, and his feet catch fire. If that's not the definition of hot-headed, I don't know what is. Rashid is the same way. He likes the internet in his backpack, which I assume is a Wi-Fi hotspot for his scouter. He likes to shoot across the map, jump off walls, and also he's space dancing.
I got this. Don't worry about me, babies. Okay, 10 points. I did it!
He's a cocky asshole. But here's where the positives start to wane, because in reality I would consider Street Fighter V an unfinished game, even after the big story mode patch. The menus are garbage, even worse than Super Smash Bros. 4. Thanks Sakurai's wife. Also, the netcode can be really bad. I know rollback style netcode is really the best for fighting games, but when people are teleporting around the stage, it just isn't fun. How am I supposed to punish a jump in when they've hit me before I could even see them jump? To its credit though, when the netcode runs well, it runs really well. I've had some fantastic games online. But even a good connection doesn't solve the central problem with lag in the game. In Street Fighter V, aggression is rewarded. Not only because Capcom wanted to make a more aggressive game after Street Fighter 4, but also because of the 8 frames of input lag that exists on the PS4. Now, I'm no expert on the topic. In fact, Street Fighter V is my first Street Fighter. But I honestly don't think this problem is that bad. It's just a small one that really didn't need to be there. To put it into perspective, the 8 frames just makes it more difficult to react to stuff, like jump-ins or throws on people's wake-up that you would normally be able to read. So it turns into more of a guessing game than it really has to be. I'll once again reiterate that I'm not an expert, but I've talked to longtime Street Fighter players that agree with me. To me, it only really shows itself when you're being pressured by someone crazy who likes to press a lot of buttons, and when you try to counter them, your reaction was off, and you get crushed for it. And this applies to most of the cast. So now, what used to be Crazy Ken is now also Crazy Karin, or Crazy Nash, or even Crazy Ryu. This makes it very difficult for characters like Zangief, who often relies on reactions and has no wake-up reversals, to have a very tough time, because he can't just DP people in the face when they're pressing buttons on him. Which is why we see top Geef players like Snake Eyes switching to other characters. Do I think this is the worst part of the game? No, absolutely not. In fact, it really only matters at a very high level. If you're decent, there are very few characters that can bring the grief like the Geef man himself. So one top player switching doesn't mean the game isn't balanced. In fact, Street Fighter V is quite balanced, and most players aren't at a level where this strongly affects them. They should be way more concerned about learning the fundamentals anyway, which is why I switched to Ryu to learn the game, even though I love flexing on dudes. Which brings me to my favorite part of this game. It rewards practice and patience with yourself. The game requires you to practice complex moves in your character's bread and butter combo to the point where you can execute it 90% of the time, which takes discipline, and then you can start to play the game well. And then you find out that none of those combos matter because your neutral game is terrible and you can't land a hit to start them anyway, so you have to practice enough that you can do this complex stuff without thinking about it, and when you finally do that during a match, it feels like the coolest thing ever. My first, and so far only perfect, was the greatest I've felt playing a game in a while. That and when I V-triggered my friend's entire super that one time. So if you're looking for a game that feels like you're learning a martial art, but with none of the physical effort, then this game is for you. Just get it on sale somehow because the full game and the season pass is not worth full price as of right now. Also, when Zangief supers somebody on the beach, he basically drowns them. If that's not 5 flexes out of 5, then I don't know what is. Hello everyone, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I know it's been a really long time since I last made a video and that this is a really different style than my other content. I plan on making new stuff, but I have a lot of other things going on as of right now, so hopefully it doesn't take forever. That said, feel free to give me any feedback and suggestions in the comments or on my various social media stuff. I'd love to hear what you think. Thanks again, and I'll see you next video.